So welcome to this first module about speaking with confidence. What we're going to be focusing on this first module is the reason it is important and the relationship between mindset and skill set. So why do we need to speak up? It's so important that we find our voice, particularly if we're a non-native English speaker working in an English-speaking organisation. It's really easy to have the beliefs that other people's ideas, other people's ability to express those ideas are better than mine. On this module, we'll explore that relationship between the skill of speaking and the mindset and confidence to be able to speak up. Think of any organisation. You'll notice that lots of organisations spend thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds marketing their products and marketing their services. If a company has a great product but nobody knows about it, the value of that product or service drops. But it's also the same with us. If a person has great ideas, if a person has great thoughts, if a person has great talent, but nobody knows it, the value of that talent drops. And this has been one of my passions. One of the biggest things that I have seen in my travels over the last 22 years delivering presentation training is people lack confidence to speak up. So where do we need to speak up? Of course, we have the obvious one, which is formal presentations, where you stand up often with PowerPoint, you maybe have a projector and you have an audience watching you. I'll talk a lot later in this series about how to build the confidence and the skills with this. This is a common area that people need to present, but it's not the only one. We also need to speak up in other areas as well. What about interviews? Have you ever walked out of an interview feeling that maybe you didn't express yourself in the right way? It could be in appraisal meetings. You have an annual review or a mid-year review or even a casual chat with your boss, but you fail to speak up in a way that you like, that helps the boss understands the value of your work. It could be in a team meeting and of course in sales meetings, so any kind of meeting or a project meeting. It could also be, as we've seen more recently, in video calls as well, where people want to say something, but they lack the skill to do so or the confidence. But it can also translate over into our social life as well. Some people can just walk into a room and feel that the room is captivated by their presence. And there are other people who walk into the room and they just stay quiet because they just watch other people. What if you could learn some of the techniques as we go through this program that will help you be able to articulate your view, articulate your ideas, whether it's in a professional work environment or whether it's in a personal and social environment. The key is to remember that you cannot not communicate. Even silence is communication. If you stay silent in a meeting, it could be that the perception of your silence is that you don't have any opinion or that you don't have any idea of what you're talking about. The key is that we have to be able to communicate, because not communicating is still communicating. It doesn't matter what your intention is, it matters what people's perception is. The other way of thinking about this is if you dominate meetings, if you speak all the time and don't give a chance for other people, again, people's perception of you could be they're dominating, why don't they stop talking? So the key is to get that balance between not talking enough and talking too much. So we know we cannot avoid communication and that perception is reality. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't necessarily matter what you say, but it really does matter how other people feel about what you do and what you say. A lot of people have this. It's called catagelaphobia. Now you can either spell it with a C or you can spell it with a K. But essentially what it means is the fear of looking foolish. Have you ever been on a training program and they're going around the training program asking you to introduce yourself, and as it gets closer to you, your heartbeat starts beating faster? Have you ever had to do a presentation but the night before you don't sleep very well because you're worried about looking stupid? You're worried about not being able to articulate yourself in the right way. Catagelaphobia is the thing that can hold us back. Now, it's okay not to have that confidence initially, because confidence can often be gained through having a go at something. And through this program, we'll build on both the skill and the confidence to be able to move. Now, in terms of a car crash, if you deliver a message and you've got lots of confidence, but you don't have skill, it can look a little bit like this, where you're all over the place until eventually you run down a blind alley and you crash. So what we've got to do is, if you've got lots of confidence but no skill, we have to learn to put the traction control on. Putting the traction control on means our presentation skills are controlled and that we're able to use our words, our voice, and our body language on purpose, with purpose. And by the way, you're going to hear me say that phrase a lot through this. So what are the two ingredients that we need? Essentially, we need to build the confidence to be able to speak up, and we need to develop the skill. On this program, we'll explore both of those key items. But let's then take a look initially at the relationship between skills and confidence. So we've noted that we need both skills and confidence. Let's look into that a bit deeper. So if we look at the horizontal line, we have high skill on the right-hand side and low skill on the left. And then we can also build in confidence. So we've got high confidence and low confidence. I'm sure there's no prizes for guessing that it would be ideal to have the high confidence and high skill level. But let's explore what happens in each of these quadrants. If you have low skill and low confidence, it's possible that you could avoid speaking. You're going to feel nervous. Maybe you don't sleep the night before because those nerves are taking hold. You could even believe that other people are better than you. You get frustrated with yourself. But ultimately, your talent and your knowledge is not going to be recognized because you're not speaking up. If you are high confidence but low skill, what happens here is you could make mistakes, you could miss out some key data, you could structure your message in a way that just doesn't quite make sense to the audience. You could potentially be seen as arrogant, maybe too confident. There's a balance between confidence and overconfidence. And again, if that's the case, your talent is not going to be recognized. If you are high skill and low confidence, you may be unaware of your own ability. You may avoid speaking when you could be sharing your talent and knowledge. You're often going to be comparing yourself to other people with the belief that other people are better. We'll come back to beliefs a little bit later. You may feel embarrassed to speak, and you're going to let other people speak instead of you. And again, your talent is not recognized. And if you have high skill and high confidence, this is where this program is designed to get you to. And this is absolutely vital. You're going to have an audience that is engaged with your message. You are going to be passionate about speaking your message with the skills required to deliver it with authenticity. The audience, which is the most important thing, is going to understand you. You'll also be seen as an authority. Now, it doesn't matter what your job is or how senior people are above you, you can be seen as an authority on your subject matter expert or subject matter expertise. You're also going to then give that opportunity to seek out opportunities. And I'll tell you a story about how I accidentally got into presenting. And the most important factor, of course, is that finally your talent will be recognized for the value that you bring, not just because you know what you know, but because you're able to show what you know. So how did I get into presenting? Well, it was by accident. I was an operations manager working for Chase Manhattan Bank, and Chase Manhattan Bank merged with JP Morgan. Now that meant we had heritage and legacy systems from both organizations. We had heritage and legacy employees from both organizations. And then we had new people coming into this new organization. The environment was quite toxic. And I made a decision that I wanted to find a way of improving the work-life balance, the working environment, just the way we were doing things. So I led a project group, I took some questionnaires, and then I presented my findings and my recommendations. And what was really interesting, at this point, I had had no formal presentation training ever. But I believed in what I was talking about, and I believed in the recommendations, and I believed that we should make sure that we got the organization, the way we were doing things, to be done differently. So I did this presentation. We had about 70 people in this room. And then after that presentation, a couple of days later, a senior manager who was in the room called me up to his office and he said, Darren, a couple of days ago, I watched you do a presentation and really liked some of the recommendations that you put forward and will look to implement them. But he also said, I actually liked how you presented. And I've been thinking of setting up a training function within the business. Would you be interested in leading it? And it was this opportunity that completely changed my career. Up until then, I'd been an operations manager, a technical expert within the FX business. And then suddenly everything changed on that one presentation. Now, I'd had no formal training at that point, but at least I did have some confidence to speak up. But the key to this message is when we learn to present with confidence, with clarity, and with credibility, it can open doors that you just don't even know about yet. So since that conversation all the way back in the late 1990s, my whole life has changed. I've certainly spent the best part of 2011 to 2020 traveling 250,000 miles annually across the globe, predominantly in Europe, Middle East, and in Asia, with the occasional visit to North America and to Africa, which is currently sitting behind me at the moment. And my whole life changed because of this one presentation that I did. But I've also spent a lot of time learning how to put a presentation together. Now, to do that, I'm going to talk you through 9 key stages. And then we're going to show you on this program which of those 9 key stages we're going to focus on because they're super, super important.